meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any other changes to the agenda? Motion to approve, please.
Moved.
And second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Open forum. Would anybody like to come and speak?
We're thinking council members Jeff Bertram by Central Sanitation here tonight just to give a few minutes of comments and then hopefully be open to some questions when the agenda item comes up. First of all, we'd like to congratulate Irv on the sale of the waste management. We've been in business 38 years. We cover about 18 counties, and we certainly give him credit for the years at what he's done here in Melrose. And we wish Waste Management well in that endeavor, taking that company over. This is something that you'll probably never go through again in the history of the city, in transferring a license. Let's face it, you've had the same services and everything's gone on well. We've gone through it 12 times in about 15 years. Waste Management certainly buys a lot of different companies around our service area, and so we see a lot of communities go through this, and we're just here tonight to not offend anybody, not hurt anybody, not take anything away from Irv, but to give you and the citizens of Melrose an option, and you're fortunate that you have an option. A lot of areas there are no options. And so we're just here to give you those options and to let you know that we certainly would be interested in, if you were to assign a contract for 6 months, if Irv got paid, it would be through the end of the year, gave you 6 months to see if Waste Management met some of your needs and kick the tires a little bit. You still could decide if you go for RFPs, and maybe Danny's would want to bid it, or Tom's, or us, certainly other companies. It gives you an idea of what's going on. I can tell you this, you're paying $1 more, a little more than $1 here than they're paying in Owen. Our prices in Sauk Center, City Sauk Center, which is open market, are about $5 lower than what you're paying here. So I think personally, again, what has been done has been done. Irv's credit, selling, moving on, and now there's some options that you probably didn't think of or didn't want to think of in the past. I think those options are on the table. If you save the average resident $5 a month, you'd be looking at $6,500 for the city a month. And then, of course, over the 4.5 years of the contract, if you just simply scoot it over, you're looking at over $300,000. I would say if you bid this today, Waste would bid it lower than what the current prices are. I can tell you we would bid it lower. So at the end of the day, Irv gets paid, he sells his business, and you move on to some other options. And all what I'd encourage you to do is to let you know that we've got 100 employees. It's a family-owned company. I've been with Don 20 years now. Second generation, Taylor Williamson has joined the company. We're going to be an alternative for you today and tomorrow. But rather than just scooting this over and ignoring the facts of what the market is, I think would be ill-advised. You know, the most responsibility I always took it as elected official in the council or anyplace else is the fiduciary responsibility of looking out for the residents themselves. It's tough, and again, good for Irv. He's selling, he'll get paid. You know, I estimate between $2, $3, $4 million. Great, he earned every penny of it, and what he's done for the community, everything else. But at the end of the day, the sale's done, Waste Management's a new carrier, and we move on. When an employee quits, Monday morning you have to have an exit plan and you've got to start something new, and that's what we're going through. So with all due respect to Irv and what he's done, I'd ask the council to at least consider at least just assigning a contract for a short period of time, allow him to get paid, kick the tires a little bit, and then look at what options might be out there. I'd welcome the opportunity when you get into more specifics. I can tell you a lot of specifics of what we've gone through in all the communities that we saw the purchases go through, and I shared some of that with you. But I'd welcome the opportunity to share a little bit more of that with you so you make the right decision, just not for today, but for 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Garbage is getting to be harder and harder. There's less and less competition. There's less companies able to do it. And the last thing you want to do is get put in a corner where you have no options. And you're basically beholden to one national company, and you service and everything else becomes an issue. So we're here again, not to start a fight, not to cause problems, to give you an alternative and to allow to have you make the best decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Consent agenda, approval of minutes, bills, investments, some step increases. There's a renewal application for an option to a liquor license, gambling resolution for the chamber. And then there is also a donation from the American Legion, $1,000 to the Tri-Cap bus. Did you want to mention about that, how the thing?
Yeah, it was for a $1,000 donation. If they were able to raise $1,000, the American Legion would then match that for the bus transportation down here. So that was a great thing. So appreciate it out of the Lions and the fundraiser that occurred with that. So.
All right, well, good. Is there any other questions on the consent agenda? Can you get a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, now to our public hearings. It is 6:07. First public hearing. Tracy, are you going to be in charge of this? Sure. All right, so 6:07, we're opening this one.
Oh, and Mr. Mayor, I do have a copy of the public hearing notice right here.
All right. This is kind of the same drill. You've been down this road a couple of times in the last several years. The purpose of the public hearing is to consider the creation of Economic Development Tax Increment Financing District number 9-2 and to consider a business subsidy to Leadstone Incorporated. This again is the way that your TIF districts are numbered. They're based on municipal development districts. So you may recall that we created, last year we created the Boomerang Sports TIF district. The municipal development district that was in was number 9. It included all of that area, commercial area basically, south of the interstate, for the most part to the edge of city limits of the commercial areas. So that's the reason for the numbering. This is the second economic development district in that municipal development district. It is an economic development district, which means it has a useful life of 9 years. Leadstone did request tax increment financing assistance, but Mr. Tomsky has been very busy and we have had a really difficult time catching up. So we've got some proposed terms, but we haven't had his review or comment on those terms. So we'll talk a little bit about that later in the business subsidy portion of the hearing. When you create a tax increment financing district, you need to set up the boundaries, you need to set up the budget, and you need to identify the maximum amount of bonds that are going to be issued. The city does not, or we do not anticipate the city will issue bonds for this project, but they will issue pay-as-you-go obligation, which is considered a bond or a note of sorts. So the budget for this district is a total of $1,080,794,000. That is based on our estimate, real estate tax estimate of a 3-phase project by Leadstone. They are contemplating building approximately 20,000 square feet right now and have 2 additional phases that will be coming into play over the life of this district. So by creating the district, including the 2 parcels of land that they own that are just immediately to the south of their existing facility, I think there's parking lot and some outside storage on that property. Those are the 2 parcels in the district. Anything that they construct on those 2 parcels over the next 9 years will be captured as increment, and we'll be drafting development agreements on a phase-by-phase basis. So the revenues here, again, are estimated based on the estimated improvements in the market value and the resulting taxes. They are just an estimate. The budget just simply provides parameters. The city can't receive more than that. They can't expend more than that. We write them pretty aggressively so that you should not have to, you shouldn't have to modify the district in the future. The maximum amount of bonds is $878,811. Again, we don't anticipate bonds, but that's a maximum amount of capital assistance that you could provide. We talked about the boundaries. It includes the 2 parcels. Again, they're owned by J&T of Melrose, Inc. And when you create a tax increment financing, you need to make 4 findings. They're in the resolution that's included in your packet. Number 1, that it is an economic development district. This is because it is manufacturing, warehousing, and those related type activities. Number 2, that the project would move forward without assistance were it not for assistance. And again, Mr. Thompson will have to provide a letter to that extent. That will be also addressed in the development agreement when we get to that point. But the general discussion is he needed to be able to do this project in this location with TIF. There's other locations outside of the city that could have provided assistance. So I think we're safe to say we meet the but-for test. The other two findings are that the plan does relate to the overall development goals, or the project fits in with the development goals of the city as a whole. So with that, again, I'll try and keep it short, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. And catch my breath.
Somebody in the audience wants to ask any questions?
If I may, this hearing was not only to consider creation of the TIF district, but we doubled up and it is considered a business subsidy hearing. When the city considers providing assistance in excess of $150,000, they have to follow business subsidy law. And so I'd like to be able to review briefly what the proposed terms of assistance are. The council will be asked later on in the regular council meeting to consider approving these terms. So I'd like to be able to outline them within the context of the public hearing. All right? Okay. The developer again is Leadstone Inc., located in Melrose. We talked about the two parcels. The initial phase of the project consists of a 20,705 square foot warehouse facility and the retention of at least 10 jobs, paying not less than $14.90 per hour, inclusive of benefits, within 2 years of occupying the project. They'll have to retain those jobs for the duration of assistance. The way that this was presented in writing from Mr. Tomsky was that they hired 10 people in anticipation of this project. If this project doesn't move forward, those 10 people, those positions would be eliminated. So we're going to call this retention as opposed to creation. The construction of this first phase was proposed to start tomorrow, July 21st, be completed by December 31st of 2018. And TIF assistance would be used to reimburse for site improvements. The developer would be required to pay for the cost of creating the TIF district in preparation of the development agreement. And in exchange for that, the city would issue a note, a pay-as-you-go note, payable with 90% of the increment over the duration, the 9-year duration of the TIF district. Pretty standard practice for TIF pay-as-you-go projects in the city of Melrose. The estimated amount of that note is $283,595. Again, these are preliminary terms. If they're acceptable to Leadstone, Mr. Tomsky will move forward preparing the development agreement. If they change, they would come back to the city council. So with that, I'll leave it open for questions again.
Anybody in the council have any questions or concerns? Now, 5B, it is 6:15. This will be tax increment financing district number 9-3.
Mr. Mayor, here's the affidavit of publication for the public hearing. 9-3.
All right, same drill. I think you will understand how we number TIF districts now. So this is the third TIF district in Municipal Development District number 9. Purpose, this is an economic development small city TIF district. And it is being created in conjunction with the Ars Auto project. Again, this is a small city economic development district, which means that you'll be assisting a commercial enterprise constructing not more than 15,000 square feet in a city with a population of not more than 10,000 within 10 miles of a city with a greater population. So it's a small city rule. Ars Auto is proposing to construct a 5,000 square foot repair facility, the potential addition of a car wash, and potentially other ancillary uses. This will happen, this is a single parcel TIF district. It is located at the immediate intersection of I-94 and help me with your Main Street, not Main Street. Second? Okay. But it's in the southwest quadrant of the intersection of 94. The budget for this is smaller because it is a smaller project. Total budget is $68,478. City will spend no more and retain no more than that in increment. Maximum bond to be used is that same amount, $68,435, because I haven't capitalized interest in this TIF plan. Same deal, you'll be asked to, in the resolution, you'll have 4 findings to make, that it is a small city economic development district, that the project wouldn't happen were it not for tax increment financing assistance. I think one of the things that we talked about in my crew and myself and Joe Arsenal, the developer, was that in order to do a really nice job, because it's a key intersection as you're coming into the city, there'll be paving and just, in general, making the site and the development look really nice, caused an increase in cost, and therefore a request for tax increment. Also nice to help your locals. Were it not, I think the but-for argument in this is were it not for tax increment financing assistance, the development, you wouldn't be able to achieve those higher site standards, and the project could be done more affordably in the township. So it's in everybody's best interest to do it in the city, and hence the provision of TIF. The terms on this deal are very similar to what we just talked about with Leadstone. We talked about this being a 5,000 square foot auto repair shop as the minimum requirement. The creation of 1 full-time job, paying not less than $25 per hour, 1 part-time job, paying not less than $18 an hour. Both those wage brackets are inclusive of benefits. The jobs need to be created within 2 years of occupying the project. Construction is proposed to start tomorrow, again, and be completed by year end. Site improvements are what will be reimbursed. Mr. Arsenault will be responsible for paying for the cost of the creation of the district and preparation of the development agreement. And then in exchange, the city will provide a pay-as-you-go note, estimated to be the maximum of $61,020, payable with 90% of the increment over the duration of the TIF district. And you all have copies of that, I believe, in your packets. If you have any questions, let me know.
Is there any questions or concerns? All right, council number 3, utility easement AG.
Mr. Mayor, here's a copy of the public hearing notice for the easement vacation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This public hearing is to address the utility easement that runs east-west along Leadstone's property. This is Leadstone contacted me with a petition for vacation because the facility that he's hoping to expand would actually run directly over top of this easement. And this easement's already been abated. All the utilities are already removed for this project. It's just cleaning up the planning and so on. So, any questions?
Just to be sure, once an easement goes away, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to reobtain.
Absolutely.
And you've contacted public utilities, and they are confident that will never be needed.
Yep. Yep.
Any other questions?
We'll take action after hearing the action points. So now we are on to reports. Chief Moss.
Good evening. You may not have a June monthly report in your council packets as it was not prepared, but we retired. So we don't have any numbers for June of this year to compare to last year. But we do have a few things going on in the police department. 19 night will be coming up on August 1st, 5:30 to 7:30 in the Stock River Park. So we'll go ahead and talk to your neighbors and get them down. Before sleeping, and offers a picnic plate lunch, as well as a couple other folks getting down in the food shelf will be down there as well, taking any donations, food or money as well. We have tomorrow That's the last day for the Melrose Community LLC, Rose Park Stewardship Property. We did get the court order to go into there and take care of that. After 5 o'clock tomorrow, there has been no improvement since the court order has been issued, so my assumption is next week we'll be working with the street crew and parks crew to get that taken care of. We've been talking with Supervisor Miriam and Joe for it, so we'll work that out. Felicia Pruitt did replace Julie's position in our office. She started on Tuesday, and there was some training done, so she's got a good chunk of the backlog already squared away, so life is getting much better on that. So, Mrs. Lowe, she'll catch on quickly, and we should be back to what is considered normal for us. We'll see. Questions?
I don't know if you have any, about the discussion last meeting with the testimony that we had at the public hearing. Do you have any, I want to say, update, or is there anything else in the works regarding that?
There's continued work being done in our area by the task force. I did speak with the sergeant in charge of the unit, as well as some other folks that work in that area down there, and they continue to work out here. My request was to examine how they do things slightly different to maybe reflect our what they consider lower level dealers, and work towards not using them for the next step up, but when it does seem feasible, put them where they belong, so that we can see some turnover and some effect in our area as opposed to allowing them to remain free and carry on with the business they do.
If there's anything that you need from us, your residents, let us know.
Information, that's the best thing the residents can do for us.
You see something, don't you?
Yep, absolutely. People can remain anonymous almost 98% of the time. But there might be some times where we do need to use names, but for the most part we can keep things quiet, so.
One question I was just wondering, on the night of Riverfest for the Friday night celebration that they had down there, is there things going on in town that, I mean, I just heard that since then some events have been canceled because they say that they can't trust the policing that's in town. I mean, was there more than abnormal activity going on that night that all of a sudden it caused ruckus in town?
No?
Because they, I guess so far have canceled 2 events at the Legion, and could be several $1,000 that they've lost because of it.
I'm not aware of it.
They've even thrown their deposit away just because they're involved.
No, I'd have to look at what the calls were for the evening, but I believe there was some traffic stops, and I don't think we had a fireworks like that night. It was actually a pretty quiet night overall.
Okay. I got a question about it, so I was hoping to ask.
One thing that I was informed is, it wasn't really the Melrose police, that was more state patrol, was, they had a couple of extra cars in town, and they were pulling people over, a lot of things, I guess. That's what I heard, so I don't know if you will even hear about that dealing in state patrol, but I think they were just wondering why state patrol was in town, but they have every right to be in town.
Right. Yeah, and the only way I could reference that through our records is if we assisted or they assisted us with a traffic stop or something similar, or a call in general, so. Otherwise, I would have to check in with their record system to see how or if anybody was here. Okay.
All right, thanks, Chief. Development Director, Freeman.
All right, on July 10th, Planning and Zoning Commission held a meeting, and we went through, we had public hearings for a plat, rezone, 2 conditional use permits and variance for 2 projects that are going to be coming up on the agenda later. Also, it should be noted that City Administrator Brett Norris, myself, and Craig discussed 2 nuisance issues in the commercial district, and letters have been drafted and sent out to them as of this week, just to address some of the issues. Any questions?
All right, you want to give us an update on the 400 block then?
Yes. So last week, Tracy, Ryan, myself, Mike Redwood, and Chad Midorf and his legal counsel sat down to discuss his plans for the 400 block. After speaking with him, they are working to establish a permanent location in Melrose as far as opening his office back up, getting office space back, hopefully on Main Street. However, due to the nature of the required development on the 400 block, they're not really positioned to leave. The 400 block will be restored to shovel ready. So you're talking about removing the foundation, backfilling, and possibly putting grass or gravel there. But the owner has stated that he will be looking to sell the property once that's over. Any questions?
How soon does he have to move on that? Because then we talked about that fence not being.
Yeah, the fence of it does have a timeline of September 1st. However, we did put on the permit with the discussion of city staff that if there is a discussion and there's movement to get the site cleaned up, that the fence can remain until that hole is filled. Obviously, we don't want any safety concerns before on Main Street, but he's moving forward with it as quick as he can. He's got, from what we understand, he has 2 quotes for the work to be done. And we're also working with the state to figure out how quickly we can figure out how to use the funding and all that type of stuff. So there is a bit of a timeline, but we're working with him to get it done as quick as possible.
Any questions? Scott? City Attorney report, please.
Several items, most of these you're aware of. We had the wrapping up the EAW jobs project earlier this month, and contributed to getting that taken care of. There's also continuing requests for additional information on these grant requests that have been submitted for the new substation out on the east side. And so as those come in, we're helping them, responding to those. Later on in the agenda, we've got the solid waste agreement coming up and a discussion about the Sunday liquor sales in light of the new state laws. And then finally, as Chief Mouse mentioned, I went down to St. Cloud, met with the judge, and got order signed to allow the city to go onto the site there on Craft Drive and clean up that property. The owners have until 5 o'clock tomorrow to get it cleaned up, and I would not anticipate that happening. And so the city will, now has the authority to just go in there and clean it up. Again, if you wish, we can add the cost of that cleanup as an assessment on the taxes. While I was in St. Cloud, I stopped and spoke to the county auditor's office about that site, and they confirmed that they are in the process of pursuing tax forfeiture against that property. There's just over $80,000 of unpaid taxes against that site, unpaid property taxes, and they estimated that the process and procedures for forfeiture would be complete probably about mid to late November, at which point the title would be forfeited back to the state. Their plan would be to then put it on their list of properties for sale next spring, and they said that before they would do that, they would be contacting the city of Melrose, so we would know ahead of time. And that was come up with that. That's what we got.
As far as the cleanup, you just clean up the exterior
Yeah.
junk around, laying around. Now, is there grass around there? city mow that then, or?
Somebody is mowing it,
Oh.
they were cutting cane, and so, there are a lot of trees growing up where the woman stops, and some of the units are still secure, and people have something in those ones. I guess we
Wouldn't go inside, no.
wouldn't go inside anyone's closed and secure. It's the stuff on the outside, and potentially take down some of the brushes around the ground area. Some of the doors have been broken down, and the city was, we could move the broken doors and board it up with that. Secure. There's just junk strewn around. It looks like, when I looked at it last night before, so that something that Craig mentioned, it looks like the guy, the guy who's cutting the hay moves the stuff closer to the buildings and get them more hay, so at least it's all up in one spot for the city folks to go out and pick it up. So, anything else?
Okay. All right. All right, now we're on to action items. Melrose City Sanitation.
Mr. Mayor, as discussed earlier at the open forum, the City Council has two options in front of you this evening. Option one is to accept the terms and the agreement for transfer, or two, require an RFP to be submitted for a single hauler. Those are your two options that you have available to you. Option three is adjust the terms through negotiations, something like that. So, but these are the options you have.
Discussion. Let's start.
I guess, I haven't had any complaints as far as the service that we have received in the past. I believe the contract is, lots of prices. Essentially, the contract will include lots of prices for 5 years.
Correct.
Where the prices would go without a contract, we wouldn't know. And that's why probably do an RFP to find out what their competitive are. However, I do believe that we have the additional service of grass and yard debris as part of our contracts. That may be why we have additional expense. I don't believe the suck center have that?
What's that? Yep.
Does suck center have the yard debris pickup?
No.
They do not, okay. And I know that was part of the additional cost to our contract. We do have outs of the contract, I believe, if we want to. If we have any concerns. And I don't have any issue with our contract, is what I'm saying. As long as the services stay the same and stuff, and if the services do not remain the same, obviously we have to submit a 60-day notice.
Justin, want to go next?
I guess I'm kind of way Tony. I don't really have a problem with the contract that we got. I don't know if that's something that we still look at to. I don't know what it takes to really change it to, try it for a year and then go back over. Sometimes you just do nothing.
Yeah.
I heard from a few citizens as far as the service that we have presently is that they're satisfied with the services, and a lot of them do appreciate the fact of the debris, grass and branches and stuff like that. I feel that service is worth the extra money if it is the extra money. You say it costs more, we're paying more here than other cities, but I think, again, I think that yard debris is a big benefit. So, as far as I'm concerned, honor the contract.
And that is really where I am at also. Honoring the contract is something that I believe in for what we have. We have a lot of Melrose employees that are with Irvin. That's something I do appreciate. I mean, that's where I would see if there was ever an out, is if they ever did for some reason close down Saw Center and everything came, that's where I would be the one. Then I would probably consider going out for an RFP, but you know, if it's guaranteed that it's going to stay local, that's where I feel comfortable right now, and honor the contract that Irvin has proposed to us and taking care of us for so many years.
And as long as the owner has the same or a little better attitude, you know, as far as.
We won't holler.
Oh, okay.
Look alive, look alive.
There you go.
So there
We-
I am.
But
And I'm looking for a motion from my council members here.
I'll make a motion to stay with the contract.
Second.
Motion first and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Now we are on action B item, resolution 2017-43 for the municipal development district number 9, for the 9.2 for, looks like it would be for Leadstone. Is there any questions or concerns on that motion? Is there anything else that, Tony, from planning and zoning that we should be aware of?
Well, I think we had pretty good discussion on it, but I think everybody's in agreement with that.
Okay. So can I get a first resolution number 2017-43 approving creation of the tax increment finance district under 9-2 and adoption of tax increment financing plan related therefore. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And action provide consideration to approve the developmental agreement terms. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And then resolution number 2017-44 approving the creation of tax increment financing district 9.3 and adoption for tax increment financing plan relating therefore to the commercial model. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
That's it.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Action provide consideration to approve developmental agreement terms. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And then 7D, council to give consideration approval to resolution 2017-45, resolution vacating the general utility easement upon petition by the landowners. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Got that all there?
I did, just barely.
All right, 7E is fire relief pension fund, resolution number 2017-46. I'll turn it over to whoever.
Turn it over to the fire chief.
We are, so the pension that firefighters receive switched 5 years ago from the Relief Association operating and managing the fund. We switched to a para program that is a fairly new program, and part of joining their program, we had a 5-year lock on it. So we were not allowed to make an adjustment for 5 years. Our 5 years are up on January 1st of 2018. So the fire service is looking for an adjustment for that. There's a lot of benefits to the program. One of the big ones is it's substantially less money to operate it. So hopefully it'll do better by the firefighters over time. Keeping in mind the firefighter pensions statewide in Minnesota are funded by tax dollars that, so when a person, an individual owns property, they pay fire insurance on it. The tax collected on the fire insurance is what comes back to the fire service to fund fire service pension. That's why it's really hard. A lot of departments like to use comparables for comparable cities. It's hard to do in that because it's solely dependent on the fire insurance collected in your communities. So we don't really have cost comparables or things, information on that side we can give you. And then, so the fund is funded by that. It's also funded by interest earned on the monies set aside. And then it's also funded by the additional contribution by the city, which is an option. So historically, the fire service has turned down any raises that other groups have gotten, and we've turned it down and then put additional monies towards our pension. Not only does it allow maybe a better benefit to the members, but it also is a recruitment tool and a retention tool. So hopefully our firefighters want to stay on longer to better improve their pension. Firefighters initially vest at 5 years, and then essentially what they do is they have an initial investment at 5 years and 20-year full investment. So at 20 years they receive 40% of what's built up, and then 4% per year until they hit 20 years. So that's essentially how the short version of how the program works. So the again, the fund is well funded right now because we haven't done anything with it for 5 years or 4.5 years, and it's something that we would typically normally look at annually. In this case, we haven't because we were locked in. As the fund is doing well, essentially having discussions with PARA, the feeling is that we want to get close to operating around 100%. And our thought process behind that is today's firefighter gets today's benefit. If we overfund the fund, that just means that future firefighters will get the benefit that's really earned by today's firefighter. So that's why we want to operate close to 100. At the same time, we want to protect the fund. We don't want today's firefighters taking all the money or risky investments, things like that, that potentially will put the fund into a negative. So we want to do what's right by the fund. So the fire service schedules that I believe you all have copies of show that at $2,100 per year is the closest schedule to 100, which is actually at 99%. And our feeling is, why we feel that's a reasonable number, is that does not include the $8,200 in additional contribution that the city does every year. So that essentially is a protection money for the fund, which puts us at, again, they don't schedule using those numbers, but it realistically puts us at around 110% funded. So it's a good share of protection. And also keep in mind, just due to inflation, increases in tax dollars as the community grows, the fund grows. So by taking it, it's a pretty big jump, and keeping in mind that it's been a number of years since we've looked at it. And I think it offers a fair amount of protection for the fund. And I know Tony and I have had a lot of discussions on this, but I think that it also provides some, obviously with any investments and any pensions, we want to make sure they're protected. It's not fair to today's people to take it away, or if we have investment issues, that it goes in the negative. The city council is the guarantor of the fund, so if things do go negative, the city council or really comes out of the fire department's budget to cover any shortfalls. So that's why we obviously also want to make sure it's well funded and that we don't have to come with additional contributions to make up for it. So once you do make an increase, you cannot go backwards. So keep that in mind. So yeah, open for questions.
Like previously, it was locked in for 5 years.
Yes.
Now, if we make the adjustment, is that going to be a yearly thing from here on in?
This annual thing after this.
Annual.
Okay, this. Yeah. And keeping in mind this, any adjustments come into effect the following year, January 1st the following year.
So you're saying, let's say somebody retires January 2nd, that's when that
They will get the new benefit.
they get the new.
Correct. And the benefit is retroactive. So we have some members that are 20 plus years right now. So the day they retire, that's the benefit they get. If you're only eligible to actually be paid out of the fund when you turn 50. So we can have a member that's fully vested but not 50 yet. So the time between their retirement date and they actually get paid, they're paid the dollar amount the day they retire, and then all the interest and monies incurred due to the investments stay with the fund. So that individual gets paid out the dollar amount that's owed to them the day they retire, not. So that interest monies helps the fund.
So, Jeremy and I have gone on and on about this. I had a couple hour discussion by now. I am looking at this from a long-term averaging type of thing, because obviously where the public employee pensions are now, granted it's a different kitty, different thing, but looking at issues like, let's say, the state of Minnesota teachers, I think a lot of states in the same boat, with the 2007 financial crisis, the public employee funds, retirement funds, had gotten obviously hurt pretty bad by the crash in the stock market. And this fund, looking at this fund, it would be no different if we had a stock market crash, because they are invested in international funds, U.S. stock and bond, I think 70% or something to that effect, in stocks and bond, stocks, U.S. stocks, and
State Board of Investment does the investing for it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's whatever they
And
invest.
that's what I tried to find out was, where are they investing the money and how are they averaging it out? And these funds, this has only been in force for 7 years, since they started allowing fire departments to start. So my only concern with this is the longevity has not been established as far as like a full economic cycle per se, for having this $550,000 sitting invested, seeing how it would weather a stock market correction, essentially. And so looking at, where their analysis is, as far as where the funds, its funding ratio is, at the $2,100 level would be 99%. And that's considering a constant 6% return of investment on the fund. Obviously, we've had a pretty robust stock market recently. What that has done, obviously, we don't know what we've only been invested for 3.5, 4 years first. We don't know what the long-term return is going to be on this. What I got from them, since invested, we've been at 3 years, 4.94% is what they, over the last year, however, is 10%. So it may look a little healthier today than it would in, say, a flat stock market, or bond interest rates are going up because they are fairly heavily invested in bonds. So if bond interest rates start to go up, the face value of the bond goes down, which could hurt bond investments significantly, at least the face value. So that's where I would, I would feel more comfortable today. Obviously I'm not arguing that there should be an increase. The fund is fairly healthy, but is it the $1,800, $1,900, or $2,000 level? And I know we have some cushion with the additional city fund. We can reassess this in a year, 5 years from now. You can't go down in that. It's locked in. It's going. You can't go down. So, sitting at that 108%, 103%, over 100% feels a lot better than even 99% in a very robust stock market environment. So I guess that's kind of my viewpoint on an increase.
Justin, do you have any questions? Dick, do you have any questions?
Using Tony's information there and such, as far as the stock market going up and down, it probably only affects the people that are retiring at the time.
Correct.
As far as the advantage or disadvantage or being hurt, or so as the stock market goes up and down, there might be a 5-6 year thing. So you got people retiring in 5 or 6 years. It probably affects 10 people, maybe.
Yeah, well, fully vested, we tend to, again, this is a retention tool.
Right.
It's pretty rare for firefighters to hit 20 years anymore. We happen to have, I think, 3 of them over right now, and one happens to be myself that hits his 20 years now. So it,
I know.
Yeah. Keep in mind, this is when I retire, unless maybe I happen to get fired or something. I don't have to plan on retiring soon, but we do have a few members that are eligible to retire that most likely will fairly soon. So this is something to, again, this is a benefit that's available to them. We want to do best by them. They put in, one of them's individual's getting close to 30 years, so obviously we want to give him the best benefit we can because he earned it. And it's the money that was built around him. So I think that's the true intent on trying to do right by today's firefighters that are stuck around an additional bunch of years because of the chance of an increase that they really earn. So you know, looking at whether it's myself or some younger members, yeah, we'd say no problem, wait some years, but I think we also want to do right by the people that are eligible to retire and can. So.
And I don't argue that point at all. I look at it from sitting on obviously this side of the table. We're on the hook to the taxpayers. You know, we have some good times now. Right? Obviously the funds are going. And I don't, you know, nobody has a crystal ball on where the fund goes, obviously, but it is invested. And it's not any savings account, it's in the stock market, on the stock market. If we have, let's say we have scenario, we have 3 retirees next year, and we increase it to 2,100, and I don't know what that would be. Let's say $100,000 goes out, and then you have a stock market correction, and so we not only took out those retirement funds. These are the scenarios this would happen with the state, is they kept increasing the benefit during the good times. And people retired on these higher benefit levels, and then we had a big stock market correction. Well, you're still paying all those benefit levels, even during the bad times. And you need to average your, even if you have a healthy fund, you need to consider the bad times and average that out.
You know, and that was one thing that I was worried about with the ambulance when we gave them their raise, because we're actually pulling money out of, you know, money that they have, and that's where I was.
Actually, that was if we ran a deficit, and there was a deficit projected also. And that, yeah, but anyway, it's a little bit different than having the money sitting invested in stock.
And I think keep in mind you know, it's a defined benefit plan. So each individual is scheduled over the payment, and the money is so it's not a long-term payout. It's a defined benefit plan. So as individuals come and go, it's not like they're taking a big chunk out. It's the chunk that's already set aside for them. So it's
a one-time payment.
Yes. So it operates a lot different than a typical parent program where somebody retires into these long-term payments.
Right.
In that sense. But if we're setting benefit levels based on a snapshot in time of the fund, in my opinion, that's a little bit dangerous. And we can address it again next year and year after. And if the fund is, you know, when we get a little more history in it, you know, whether we set it at 1,900 or 2,000 or 2,100, we'll still look at it again. You know, it is a 40% increase from where it was. It's a 40% increase. That is very significant. And I don't know that we need to take that leap with the short amount of history we have with this fund. But 3.5 years is not a real good history for you know, gutting a long-term investment vehicle. I guess with that said, I would make a motion.
There is a motion here, to provide consideration about the resolution increasing the benefit to 2,100. So I have to abstain from the motion due to the fact that I was.
Is there a motion?
That's what the action item is set up for.
So it's not an actual motion.
Okay. Well, depends whoever wants to do it, I have to stay out of it.
So like what Tony was saying, all they need, the council just needs to choose the number and then make the motion to that effect.
Well, it's not that we don't appreciate the fact that we have people dedicated to the fire department, you know, as far as putting in the time and effort and so forth. We have a very good volunteer fire department. I think they put in lots of hours to keep up their training and so forth. I see it's a 40% increase from where it was, and like Tony said, we could lower it and address it next year. Is that gonna create any issues with the people that are there? I don't think so. I think most people are pretty dedicated to the fire department and so forth. Is it a slap in the face to the people there? You know, I don't think you're worth 2,100 or something like that. I don't want to create that issue, you know, either. So the number of people that take advantage of it, you know, I understand with the market going up and down. You know, you could go, market could go down, you can't go backwards, but the number of people that it affects, 3 or 4, or 5 or 6, you know, eventually it comes back up. Is it a big dollar amount? Is it that big of a dollar amount that it becomes an issue? I don't know. You know, the people that are retiring at would take that number, you know.
Well, everybody gets that number when they retire, right? We set it at $2,100.
Yeah, but it could be 10 years from now, and that would be
Right.
very much, you know.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying, you know. But
I guess in my mind, I go through the scenario of, let's say we get 3 retirees next year, and they get their, well, if they hit 50, I don't know if we have that many people hitting 50 or whatever, but if you do, and they take that money out of the fund, and we increased it to $2,100, and then we get a, you know, stock market correction. It's obviously lofty right now, and you know, bond prices go down and stuff, and we get a healthy correction. Well, now we are showing, you know, say we have a 20% stock market correction, which isn't unrealistic, and the fund goes down 10%. Well, now we're sitting at, and we have 3 retirees that just went through all their completely off the cuff scenario. But you know, you get $100,000 taken out, and you have 526, 426, and then you get a 10% correction, $52,000 down. So now we're sitting at $370,000 in the fund. We're under fund. We're sitting at, I don't know what that would be, but I don't have that sheet in front of me now. But you know, we might be all of a sudden at 70% fund, and that's the top hard game you play with having these investments in, you know,
you got a number in mind?
CDs. I had 1,900 in mind. You know, I mean, it's still a healthy increase. You know, next year we can adjust it more. You know, that's a $400 increase. About 25% or so. Almost 25%. But you know, without the history, I mean, if we were showing, if we had 15 years of this plan, you know, it's average 6%. We have some pretty good indication that it's going to weather any economic conditions. Fine. We can't go back, and the taxpayers are on hook for any shortfall for you know, in the future. I don't know. That's my case. And I would make a motion to set it at $1,900.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that 1,900.
First and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Resolution number 2017-47, resolution approving the case number 2017-0404, application from Joseph Arsenal to allow sale of motor vehicles as a law by the CUP parcel 66.3667.0008. Any questions, or can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make that one.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 2017-47, resolution approving case number 2017. Okay. 2017-48, resolution approving case number 2017-200, application from Ron's Property LLC to allow creation of plat. Motion to approve.
So
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Ordinance number 720-2017, rezone ordinance, Melrose one stop. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Resolution 2017-49, resolution approving the case number 2017-405, application for on-soil property to operate an out-of-service station and car wash parcel by conditional use permit. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Resolution number 2017-50, runs property LLC to allow a portion of the mandatory 8-foot buffer strip to afford forgiven locate in the northeastern corner of the property of the parcel. Can you
Mr. Mayor, Mike has just a quick little update on that, and there was a memo that was sent out on that fact.
Yeah, Mayor and members of the council, I was contacted by the property owner for this variance. At the planning and zoning meeting on July 10th, the commission did hold a public hearing and do recommend the council for the variance approval. The variance that was put in, the verbiage for the variance that's in the resolution that was provided to the council addresses the northeast portion of the property to be forgiven for this 8-foot buffer strip. However, the contact that I had with the property owner on Monday this week, he did request that the verbiage possibly be changed so that it would include the buffer along all of the road right of way, which would be the north side, the east side, and the south side of the property. It would still have the buffer strip between the property and the residential properties to the west. So,
Is everybody okay with that? Can you get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Take a second. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, we're at K. Contract voucher number 1, 3rd Avenue West resurfacing project. Is there anything to be said on that?
Mr. Mayor, not much. It's just one of those, the only change is that there was a storm sewer that was more disrepaired than we originally thought when the process began. So it's the recommendation to approve with the retainage of 5%. Yeah.
All right, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, Melrose ambulance electronic recording.
What's that?
Miss Jen.
All right, so January 1st of 2017, we went with a new billing company, Advantage Billing, as our previous one retired. And when we met with them, they have a $5 charge to upload our run forms, our state forms that we have to the state. So when we switched to them, they gave us 1 year to continue at the current cost at $2, with the agreement that we would, it was a verbal agreement at that point, that we would sometime within this year before January 1 of 18, we would look into the electronic reporting system. Advantage Billing provides that. Once we have the computers, they provide the software. And so we kind of looked at some different options. There's a lot of variance here. You can get something really cheap, like a regular laptop. You can get the tough books that's noted in your guys' notes. The tough books are able to be flipped, so because the patients are going to need to sign them along with the hospital staff. So we got some quotes obtained for 3 Panasonic tough books, 2 different companies. One was $12,501 and the other one was $10,980. We have $10,000 in our 5-year plan to replace pagers and radios. At this point, I don't foresee any of that needing to be replaced. Something could change, but I would recommend that the higher quote is through Marco, who we currently have taking care of everything in the city, to stay with that company for questions and issues that we'd have with them. So
Do you know what model, first of all, do you know what model Tough is?
Just got that. Advantage Billing gave us 3 options that their software, they kind of gave us some guidelines that it had to have.
Certified?
Yep, yeah, so.
This is a Panasonic Toughbook 31, and we also spoke with Chief Mouse to see what the police department uses, so we had something durable for in the vehicles.
Is that what the police department uses also?
That's what they, are all of yours at? I know that's the one you just purchased.
The newest version is 31, yeah, we have some 29s in our fleet.
What I'm wondering is if we can combine some purchases here, get some quantity discounts.
We tried even from 1 quote, Tessa tried from 1 to 3. That wasn't a really
And
big.
we were able,
Yeah.
they took off shipping and a little bit, not much.
So some benefits to going to the electronic. My staff, we're fine if we stay with the paper. There's nothing that we absolutely need to change. It benefits us on our billing. So the computer system is set up exactly like our 3-fold run sheet is that we do right now. But the system is set up that depending on the type of a call, so if it's a motor vehicle accident, there's areas that are red. You cannot submit that form until they're filled out. That's a billing issue. So the system is set up for Medicaid and Medicare that if all of the information is not filled out, you can't bill for it. So in the end, you, in paper form, in paper world, you can't, if you turn something in, you have something missing, you work to get that money back, but the electronic version is set up to capture everything you need to submit.
I can't remember if the top books are hermetically sealed or.
Oh, what?
I think they call it hermetically sealed for infectious transfer fluids, infectious fluids.
It's a good question. It's the same thing that Gold Cross has. They've been using them for years, so I would think.
Well, I think at the hospital we used to have to get plastic keyboard covers.
Okay. We don't have a quote for this. I don't expect it to be much, but when the new hospital opens, there's actually an ambulance area for us, and we will have to at some point purchase a printer to sit there because we will have to print those reports for the hospital. So
They're obviously not cheap, but they are very durable laptops. Could we maybe check with Centric if they're buying these also? Because they get big discounts, I'm sure.
I didn't specifically ask for this model, but I brought up what we were looking at.
Yeah.
And it did not sound like that was something, because I asked I had the network question, those kind of questions with them on the internet. And it didn't, because when I mentioned what we were looking at, the IT people that were there said those were pretty durable.
Yeah.
But it didn't sound like it.
The reason why I'm questioning is 12.5 does sound awfully high, even for that, for 3 of them for that model.
Yeah. Some of the, Tessa went through and just some random things that I think, just some of the costs that we have with the paper forms right now. So for 2016, $430 for the forms. If we were to have as many runs as we did last year, which my prediction is that, for as busy as it's been, for going from the $2 per run to low up to $5, because they'll up it to $5. That's the other thing, is if we stick with paper, we can charge $5 a run. That's just shy of 4,000. So there's cost paper-wise. I get it.
So is there?
The billing part of it is huge for me. I'd be selfish if I didn't tell you that it would make my life a little easier than what it is now with the paper forms, because I get them and I make sure we get all the information that we need for revenue recapture, and the system is built that way on the electronic end.
So you do the, what would be where would the 3 of them go? Like each?
One in each ambulance, and we would
One in
get,
each.
yep,
Okay.
yep, you gotta have one in each, and then we would do something. We kind of talked with Mark, we need something to lock them in, so that when we're driving, they're not.
Life expectancy is something like this, you'd use them for 3 years, 5 years?
That's a computer.
1 year?
There are certain warranties on these telephones. I don't know, it's 3 years, like almost unconditional warranty or whatever, but that would be nice to know also. Yes.
I did, SOC switched over, they had the same, they switched to Advantage Billing as well. had the same thing by the end of the year. They just did a very, kind of like an iPad / laptop, and they got them in February, and they have to replace all of them already. So I do know that you kind of get what you pay for, but a regular laptop is going to be tough like that, you know, which we can go with that to get people to sign. That's the toughest part when the cover is only open so far. And
They sign.
they have to sign
So
for.
it needs a touchscreen regardless.
Yep, you gotta have a stylus and a digitizer with your package, so that kind of brings it up a little bit too.
It looks like the standard warranty is 3 years.
3 years.
You know, hopefully it lasts longer than that, but that's,
So if you're paying, or costing you $4,000 a year, you got, it's gonna be.
I think I
Well,
projected just over a 3-year.
Yeah, I
do
guess.
that.
Pardon?
We have, how many runs do we have? 600 runs?
Last year?
Whatever we're averaging, 700.
Yeah, and this year already in July, we're at 435, for 433.
Okay, and it costs us $3 additional to file paper. Because that's about $2,100 a year just for.
Just to file that.
Laptop.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not gonna cost you anything over a
I just
3-year
wish we
period.
could, you know,
I was surprised
Do
when
the
Tessa
11,000.
reached out to Marco. I had no idea. I mean, I said this is kind of what they gave us to go by. When she came back with that price, I was like, for one? I mean, I too was,
Yeah, Tessa came to me too, was like, oh my God.
yeah. So,
More than we're all.
like I said, this isn't a department request, it's more, I mean, some of them are excited about it because, like I said, the computer is kind of set up, it's a foolproof. They have to have certain things filled out for us to submit it. So,
All right,
I'll make a motion to go ahead and purchase.
okay, a second?
I'll second with the condition of, we should check with the other, the 10,980, that party, and see if we can just use Marco support for the same laptops. Does that make sense?
And we can do that because we've purchased some equipment with that other vendor before too.
Yeah.
It gets difficult coordinating because when there's an issue, one company will say it's for the
Right,
computer,
yeah, I guess
one
I don't
says
know
it's
what's.
software, and
what's
we've
included
had
as
a
far
hard
as
time.
setup. Just showing the boxes on the doorstep, and then we set them up. 12,501, or are we getting something additional for the 12,501?
I don't know that
We'll
we'll
have
have
the
any,
network
I don't
issues
think,
set up and-
my thought was we really wouldn't have anything other than the software on them.
Yeah.
And Advantage Billing does that,
Yeah,
so,
so I don't know.
yeah.
We,
Unless the warranty is different between vendors, which I wouldn't think. How about we just go with motion to approve up to the 12,501,
Okay.
and they can figure out whether or not the 10,980 will work. I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah,
I mean, and we, like I said, we definitely can go with like style regular laptop, that's not an issue. My fear is that we will go through them quicker.
Dick, are you okay with the motion that Tony added to it?
Yeah.
Okay, we have first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank
All
you.
right. In the Melrose Ambulance Billing Service, we're gonna just, are we okay with approval updating the ambulance billing provider contract too? Okay, can I get a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Okay, decided.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Old business, projects, final design. Mr. Mike.
Are we Bridge or First Street?
This one says
First Street.
Okay. Well, at our last meeting, we reviewed a number of alternatives, I guess, well, two.
you just focus on it.
Okay. So we looked at alternative number one, which is the current alignment with the widened sidewalk, the pedestrian underpass, and then the improvements to the craft wall that would have to be done, increase the cost of that project at a positive $280,000, essentially for the craft wall. The other alternative we looked at was to realign the channel, shifting it north, shifting the bridge along with it, delete the extra width sidewalk, and delete the pedestrian underpass. Again, I don't know that we need to review the channel relocation process in detail again, but it's fairly expensive and fairly lengthy. with a timeline of about 9 months to a year and a half to get that accomplished. There's an EAW probably going to be required for a channel realignment of 500 feet or more. A CLOMAR, which is a calculated letter of map revision. And then the DNR, Army Corps, and WACA permits. Yeah, we'll shift quite a ways back towards the end.
Same way.
Okay, that one there is good. So the estimated cost of the EAW is about 40 to 45,000. The CLOMAR, which is the calculated floodplain impacts, is 45 to 55,000. Permitting is probably going to be in that $9,500 range. And then the hydraulic bridge analysis is about $7,500. So if the council is interested in moving forward, well, maybe to back up a little bit on the funding, we did find out that the current bridge bonding money does not include the County Road 13 bridge. So we're not funded currently. There's a slight potential that the project could get funded with some additional general fund sales tax money. There's no guarantee of that. My conversation with Jody Tyke would be based on everything that's going on with the unknowns, that if that sales tax money were to come into play, the earliest we could construct, the current plan is 2019. So we're still 2 years out. Then with the additional design, geotechnical survey work, wetland delineation that needs to be redone, mitigation, and survey work, we're looking at about $172,000 to $208,000 in design fees. So a total possible fee of $275,000 to $325,000. At this point, it's ballpark yet, but I think that's a reasonable range to consider. And I guess what we would try to do if we're going to redesign, we would probably try to shorten that bridge to remove the center pier, which is better for erosion. The DNR really likes that in case of a dam failure. You don't get that sudden surge of water that could potentially wash out that center pier. And again, I think we need to get the bridge length down to about 140 feet if we're going to remove that center pier, which I think is probably very doable. We would have slightly deeper beams on the bridge at 140 feet, but if we can stretch it down to that 120-foot length, then we're going to, substantially reduce that cost also. The channel relocation costs, next slide please. We've got it about $350,000 to $500,000, and again, that's a very educated guess. The reduced sidewalk is going to save us about $200,000, and then we wouldn't have to necessarily do a separate craft wall project. We could incorporate that slope flattening into the redesign, which is going to save us about $280,000. So our total construction estimated cost is saving between $130,000 to $20,000. So I hate to call that cost neutral, but over 75 years, I think that's a fairly small number. We would probably, realize a little bit of savings on an annual basis with the redesign and everything. So, funding status, I guess we covered that a little bit, but again, if we were fortunate to get some of that sales tax money, which there is no guarantee, 2019 would be the earliest we could go to construction with the current project. Again, maybe just to review the pros and cons. Option number one, accommodates the pedestrians, provides for future trail connection to the Wobegon, eliminates the pedestrian crossing at CASA 13, maintains the two-way traffic, increases the sight distance over the current design, provides accessible fishing area underneath the bridge, and which another option at the time was allows the city to complete the First Street North with the available grant funding. I think that can be accomplished under either alternative, slight modifications in the design. And at the time, utilize the current bridge bonding fund, which that goes away. So the cons definitely were keeping the steep grades on the retaining wall. Not having an additional con, I think, is not having as much intersection room as the other alternative would provide. So breaking down the cost of the 75-year annual cost for about $3,800 a year, which is essentially due to the craft retaining wall. So the pros and cons for option number 2, which is the realignment, does provide more usable space adjacent to the First Street Northeast, will improve the parking along the intersection on this north side of the 400 block, will increase the turning radius for semis, will increase the sight distance, and again, both options do maintain two-way traffic on First Street. We could possibly reduce the cost by $135,000 to increasing the cost by about $25,000. Again, over a 75-year life cycle, it's about saving $1,800 a year to maybe a $333 increase again, or fairly cost neutral, I think. So some of the cons are it does eliminate the pedestrian walk on one side of the bridge. We won't have.
Can I question that? Have you checked with Joey Type? Because I remember distinctly when we started discussing this bridge, that the standard for the bridge, their bridge budget included, I want to say either an 8-foot and a 6-foot, or 2 8-foot sidewalks, one on either side of the bridge. But anyway, I don't know, because we didn't need the 12-foot obviously on one side. But I thought it was that we had increased from 8 to 12 was the trail to qualify as a trail.
Is that correct, Mike?
I do know that we added the additional 2 feet to 4 feet or whatever to get the trail designation. But I don't remember what the original.
I think it was either a 6-foot on one side, 8 foot on the other, or 8 feet on either side, on both sides. I thought that was, because it was a combined, 14 feet of sidewalk.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, and again,
Anyway.
I don't know that that alone should be the deciding factor
Right.
one way or the other. It does eliminate the underpass to the river, I guess, which, there has been some discussion that trail may go north, but then there's also been discussion we don't have any property, for it to go to. So, and again, at the time we thought it would delay the First Street construction, but I think that goes away. There is some risk of expense with the permit denial, but if we decide to move forward, would do it incrementally. We would do our initial hydraulic risk assessment, and then I think for cost estimating, we would want to do the 3D modeling. And we've kind of estimated that cost at about $8,000 to do that. From those numbers, we should get a good idea whether it's doable and permittable. We would run it past the DNR and the Corps of Engineer people. So again, we had said it delayed the construction 1 to 2 years. We're going to be there anyhow. I think if we do go to redesign, the best we could hope for maybe would be 2020. 2021 is probably more likely. And again, we don't have any bridge bond funds to lose today, so that con also goes away. So I guess with that, again, if the council chooses to move forward, I do think there is some haste, to get back on the approved list as soon as we can, so that we hopefully would make that next 2020, 2021 bonding year. And the permitting, does take some time, so
If I could, I don't know if we have the numbers as far as what the county was contributing to the existing approved plan. But would that dollar figure stand pat regardless? Because you mentioned the bridge. If it shortens, we get rid of the pier, it might be a cheaper bridge to build.
Yeah, and I think that, I don't have an answer to that.
Right.
I think that's a very good question. I thought about that on the way over here. I think it will be a cheaper bridge.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. That's something that the city council, or, we should propose to Jody, I guess, and get an answer on it.
Right.
And I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember it. Let's just say it's $2 million.
Yep.
If they,
Yeah, I can't remember. I thought the total expenses was $2 million, it was 1.3 and whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
yeah, but if they would stand pat on that number, I think then there's certainly some additional savings.
Right.
So,
If they shorten the bridge, they could widen it to get sidewalk on both sides.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things, that as we move forward, to keep the design costs down, I think we need to make our decisions on what we need and want early on, and then stick to that. If we get halfway done and then change again, then costs get out of control. So, I guess unless I don't have any additional information. Certainly given the funding, or lack thereof, I think this becomes less risky than we had thought maybe a year ago.
I guess because you're proposing that we do this hydraulic analysis.
Yes, I would say that would be the first
Step
step.
one, determine how much dirt needs to be moved, how much water volume has to be
Yeah.
replaced or whatever. And I guess in that sense, as far as the retaining wall goes and the slope down the river, would that be part of that analysis as far as?
Yes, it would.
Because
I mean, we won't
takes
have
up some volume.
specific details,
Right.
but we're gonna be looking at a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 down to the bridge. Essentially, kind of the way you had drawn it, we're gonna bring that channel around and whatever that slope comes down to meet that curve. It's gonna, I don't know if we'll get to 4-to-1. I haven't looked at it in that detail, but it's certainly gonna be 2-to-1 or 2.5, maybe 3-to-1.
Foot traffic capable.
Yes, maybe not somebody as old as myself,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Or maybe with bad wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I think we gotta look at it, but now that we know we're not getting a bridge next year.
Next 2 or 3 years.
Like 3 years.
Maybe we have to go to a stone arch bridge. Poured concrete or something like that, make it.
There's still a lot of stone from that original foundation from the 1860s.
Yeah.
Actually, that was one thing that you had mentioned, that maybe even a bagels, is it a bagels you call them?
Bebo, yeah.
Bebo would potentially work, which is just basically giant box culvert.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't
Not that I want to go down that path, but.
yeah.
So Mike, just to be clear, then the cost to do the 3D modeling, the preliminary hydraulic modeling, what's being proposed, which would be the next step to, if we were to go down this realignment, would be 8,000, is that, am I reading that right?
Yes, and then if we went forward with the full design, that probably, would reduce the, about $3,500 and would, be reusable, let's say,
Okay, on the full.
Right.
So we need to get some type of commitment from the county saying, yes, if we go forward with that, the dollar figure will stay the same, even if it is a less expensive bridge to build.
Probably in 3 years, the inflation will cover that, take care of that anyway.
That's
Yeah,
I would assume that, based upon my conversations with Jody's over the year, is that it would probably be reduced by a prorated share. So if the bridge costs would go down, then obviously I would assume the county's prorated share would also go down.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, with their policy, I mean, it's kind of a fixed formula, length times width type thing, and to deviate that probably would require some board action, I would assume.
Okay.
Okay, Justin, do you have any questions? Okay. Tony, you know how I was always really against all this, I wanted to get it done and over with, but you really brought some good stuff to light here, and I commend you for your research on this.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, without any further ado, what are you guys gonna do?
I think $8,000 is worth the look into this possibility. I'll make a motion. Go forward.
I'll second.
All right, first and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay,
First Street, okay, yeah, number 2.
Yeah, Mayor, members of the council, we had, well, a year or two ago, we had submitted a proposal to redesign First Street Northeast up to Fifth Avenue. And that included the potential resurfacing of the Baker's Alley and the parking lot, the city parking lot to the south of First Street Northeast. And then subsequently, due to the fire in the 400 block, and some elevation issues with that current building, there's steps up into the sidewalk. We'd like to look at a redesign of 4th Avenue from Main Street to First Street. So the proposal that we had previously submitted, it added about, I think about $12,000 in design costs, $12,972 in design costs, and potentially about $7,000 in construction observation, material testing costs. So I believe you have a copy of the proposal in your packet. So I guess we would be looking to make sure that we are meeting the deadlines for the grant funding along First Street and the 400 block there. We would like to get started with on design work.
Yeah, if we have a deadline on that money, we know we have to do the work anyway. But price tag is right or not.
Yeah, and again here, I think we had preliminarily decided on 44-foot wide on First Street with parallel parking on both sides as much as we can. We had proposed sidewalk on both sides of the road, which would be 7-foot wide and would be abutting the curb and gutter with no boulevard. That way it would minimize the impacts to the north side of the road.
The hard part with 4th Avenue is, you know, obviously there's 2 different ideas being floated around as far as potentially closing that main gate, and, you know, all kinds of ideas. But until we know what's going on there, how can we do design work for the street if we don't know what's happening in that?
Well, I think the goal would be, I don't know, we've probably got about 2 foot of fall from Main Street to First Street North. The goal would be to bring those up so that we can eliminate the steps. Beyond that, I mean, you know, it probably will require some additional storm sewer. There may be a high point in the middle of the roadway or low point or some grading issues on the curb and gutter.
So if we bring up 4th Avenue,
Or drop it.
Well, we would, keeping Main Street fixed, we probably would need to raise First Street at 4th a little bit to try to get rid of that sidewalk there. The other alternative, I guess, would be to do a switchback type sidewalk. You know, would still be ADA compliant. We might need a little bit more room than we currently have, but it would be sidewalk, kind of a divided with a railing in between, so you can roll up, make a 180-degree turn, and roll back to the building.
it sounds, you know, if there's a 2 foot round there, It sounds like quite a project to bring First Street up that much.
Yeah, I don't know that we're gonna accomplish all of that. I think part of that study would be, okay, where do we set the first floor elevation of that building? And maybe the building itself has to, you know, on Main Street, it's got a level up here, and on First Street, it's got a level down here, and then internally, they may have to have an ADA hallway or whatever.
Yeah, it's really hard to commit to that 4th Avenue until we know what's going on, though. You know, because if that ends up, you know, there's ideas from using it as a parking lot, for example. Then you don't have to do anything with the elevation.
Yeah, we can certainly approach that on a progressive basis also. You know, we can come up with a couple of options. If the council says, I'm not sure about that, we can stop at any time and not complete, you know, the final construction design.
So with this proposal that Mike has outlined here, I just want to draw your attention to, it also includes neighborhood meeting and utility design meetings, progress meetings with staff throughout the project. But I think the biggest thing is just to have a neighborhood meeting and just a conversation about what the sidewalk will look like and the curb and gutter will all look like and so on. I think we thought that was really important to have, to make sure that people are informed on that, and data collection, obviously.
One of the things that we did not include in the proposal was some visualization, you know, like 3D type renderings of what it could look like. I think as we get in there, if there's a bunch of questions from the neighborhood as to what that looks like, that's a service that we could provide at a later date.
So the intent is that this project, so this is design and specs, that's what we're doing right now, and then we would then try to get this thing done next spring with some type of agreement with the state to get funding to be extended.
So we're just gonna do it so we can set a public hearing.
This one, no, this is to actually approve this.
We don't have any, because it was just carried from last time, this is just to approve the proposals with the various
Okay.
different.
So this would be to approve the contract as I have, as Mike just outlined to you, as I'm scrolling through it here. It is in the agenda from last month, the June 15th one, proposal professional services, First Street.
And our goal would be to have enough information by September to hold the neighborhood meeting, so we can shoot for that goal.
Can you get a motion to move forward with this?
Those years when we have neighborhood meetings. But I'll make a motion.
Need a second, please.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Just a quick reminder too, our anticipated budget for this to come out of the state appropriations is $450,000. We might have a little bit more to put towards that with some other dollars that we'll get from that appropriation to help offset this cost. So once we get there, we might have 450 plus 150. So what is that? 600 to go towards this out of a grant. So.
Can we move on to new business now? All right, petitions for improvement. Cassie, or
That's just something that we do every year, that, I published that, yeah, I haven't had anyone.
Jesse, did you have anybody approach you? Okay.
Okay, now we're on to Sunday off-sale liquor sales. Who would like to start with that? Tony?
Sure. No, just the city of Melrose received a request from a off-sale liquor license holder asking the city to consider Sunday liquor again and to potentially stop Sunday liquor or to limit Sunday liquor. So the request came up. the council member endorsed the conversation, and so that's where we're at today. Two options in front of the council tonight simply is we could continue on with state statute as is, or two, call for a public hearing at our next meeting, and the council would give us some type of guidance in regards to how you would like us to write the ordinance, and then ultimately next month would be the way you would adopt or modify at that time. So.
I'll disclose that I was the one that said, yeah, let's have a discussion because I was contacted by a local business. Obviously, a little background, the state of Minnesota decided to pass a resolution statewide to open up Sunday liquor sales. I believe it was largely due to border towns complaining that people were leaving on Sunday, driving across the state lines to buy beer and wine and alcohol. But it doesn't really, as I've been told, and which I believe rings true, that you don't have any more sales due to being open on Sunday. You just spread it out over 7 days instead of 6 days. You can't play a day. I guess in my mind, you can't plan a day ahead, then you really need to have the liquor store open on Sunday. Obviously, it was a big change to a lot of employees because now Sunday is not a day off either. It's a big expense to the businesses because obviously they have to employ their people on Sunday now. I didn't think it hurt to have a discussion about it because obviously it was that way for a long time. And if we have the power to go back to the way it was a few weeks ago, and that is, we don't have to sell liquor on Sunday, we have the power to do that with input from the community. If that isn't, obviously there may be other avenues for the business concerned about it. There might be, a drive to visit with other communities in the area, because one of the concerns obviously is that now people are going to leave town and go to town center and buy some alcohol on Sunday. But if you can get enough, all these businesses are affected by this law because of the border towns. We're very tactless. You got Duluth and you got Minneapolis, St. Paul, big voting population. So rather than just allowing them to do it, ones that wanted it, they made it a statewide, not discretionary type of rule, not an optional mandate. But anyway, I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but just because we have a public hearing doesn't mean it's going to change, right? You have a public hearing to find out what the public wants. Is that true? So I don't know that there's any harm in discussing.
Justin? Or Paul?
I talked to, Ken Lazeka came out to me for Coburn's, and he is not, I guess he doesn't really like that it got passed either for the Sunday deal, but he doesn't want to lose out on people leaving and possibly not coming back during other operation hours. So he was really hoping that we just leave it the way it is. They're going to open only, I think, 11 to 6 or something like that. But I don't know. Talked to a few other people and they said, we need a beer, liquor, or whatever on Sunday, we'll drive somewhere else. I don't know if you want people going in other liquor stores and doing that either, so.
I don't know, it's only been in effect 3 weeks, so it's pretty hard to make a judgment, I think, at this point, either way, so. If you want to have a public hearing, doesn't matter to me if you have a public hearing, get other people's input, that's fine. I think I would rather have a public hearing and get the input from the public before making a decision. So, I think, I don't know, maybe we should, what would happen if we let it go another couple months? Or even trying to hold a public hearing? Or just so that, you know, a lot of people haven't even adjusted to the fact that they know they can go out and buy it on Sunday, you know, either, you know, maybe. I don't know.
Do you want me to speak freely? Sales do decline in a couple of months after September starts, no matter what. So, to be totally honest, you're gonna see a decline. We're in the prime of the month. I know people are still adjusting to Sundays. I have 3 weekends worth of information already that isn't looking the greatest for me. So, considering it was 4th of July in the prime of our season weekends, but I mean, by all means, I mean, let's get some more data on it. You know, I know it's how, I already know how it's affecting me in our business, but, you know, we're a small family store in a small town. And one other quick number is the percentage of my sales. Over 70% of the sales I am on Sundays right now are sales that we could be giving to other Melrose businesses, including beverage, tobacco, lottery, and 3-2 beer, or bars and restaurants. There's only 25% of my sales are actually liquor right now on Sundays, of the very small amount of money I'm actually making on Sunday. So, just to throw that information at you, that's what I'm seeing right now after 3 weekends. Sales do decline come September, no matter what, so, I mean, it isn't gonna look any better. We can finish out summer, I'd be totally understanding of that.
You know, I don't think there's any harm in waiting. You know, another thought line is the other establishments would also have a better feel for whether Sunday is really a good idea or not to have liquor sales. I have a feeling that, you know, most are going to say, you know what, all we're doing is employing, we're having to spend more hours employing, we're not making any more. Because just because liquor stores open on Sunday, people are not drinking more alcohol. So,
but that's also there, I mean, then I guess that's your option still. I mean, if you're losing money, I guess
Can't give the
then you
business to your
just,
competitor either, sorry.
well, I know, but that's, I
You would
mean,
be
I
smart
guess that's a
business
chance you
person.
take then, well, I mean.
Right?
part of government's role is to ensure fair competition. So obviously, the one establishment is a very large corporation. The other one is a family-run business. So just keep that in mind also.
I agree with you. One thing that I really did try to do some research. I heard this coming through the pipe, you know, a while ago. I did talk to a brand new liquor store down in Richmond, which is an old, I don't know if you know, Rinky's Liquor. He said the highest grossing sale he ever had was the first Sunday, but after that it's the worst days ever for him. This law was made for the big person. We all know that. It's made for your Targets and your Walmarts, you know. So that's sad for the small mom and pop stores. And I agree, it's horrible. You know, I'm not afraid to at least let the public hearing happen. I can go on with that. I just honestly haven't found one person yet that wants me to do it. To be honest, and that's what I was going to visit with you. I've been trying. I mean, I literally try to talk to other people, just so I can try to look outside and be as honest as possible. I've talked to. So, I mean, I'm willing to listen. I really am. But that's just where I'm sort of at. Just because I don't want to impede on business, and I think what the state did to you guys was wrong. I think there should be fights for it. I mean, fight, you know, the way they fought to get it. The one part, yeah. Is one thing in my old career field is I know that, you know, businesses do work together, you know, somehow to try to shake hands, say, okay, competition's fair. What's fair for all of us? I don't know if you can do that or not, especially with these big conglomerates, it's tough. So, that's where I'm at. I just want to let you know, I really tried to do some research too.
I appreciate that, Joe. I understand from a consumer standpoint, it's freaking exciting to buy booze on Sunday. I get that part of it. I'm just hoping as a small town and Melrose City Council that you look at me as a local loyal business and, you know, raising my family here, that this is not going good for us. It is kind of kicking us in the butt right now. And, you know, I'm taking it, my staff is taking it, and I just, if you guys made it an ordinance or a law in town, it would be fair for me to say no. It would help me say no. So I'm just asking for help. If we need more time to look at some numbers, I respect that.
If we have a vote and we don't make any decision, obviously the law stays in place. We can have another public hearing 6 months to a year on the same topic, right? Sure.
Is it 6 months, Patty? Is that what the rules? I think we have like a 6 month.
I think there's, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a
exactly.
6 month
I have to check, I
rule.
don't want to misspeak, so.
I believe it's 6 months, if I'm not mistaken.
Because what I'm wondering is, you know, are that many people aware of it yet? I still do not remember on Sunday that I can go down to the liquor store and, you know, buy a bottle of wine if I want to. Or, but, you know, are there that many people aware of it that would show up for the public hearing and express their opinion? Because there's so many people that probably don't even know about it yet. You know, that,
And that is true. A couple of people said, really? There are people that don't.
but do we, you know, obviously we can schedule it to when we want, right? To the next council meeting or.
You just tell us when you want to hold the public hearing and the content, and we'll.
Being that summer is so busy, I don't know that August would be a good time to have a public hearing because obviously people want the council meeting in August, they don't have to. Would September be a
I suppose with, you know, kids going back to school, I suppose parents want to load up and don't just be dressed, you know. It's, I guess, whatever.
I'd be okay with having a public hearing. I think September would be a better time than August to get a feel. Due to stuff's going on in summer. I don't want to come here July and August. I'll be honest with you. But
Let's do it in October. That, we have 3 months, you know, and you got a little transition in temperature and stuff like that. Fall. Is that too long, you know?
No, I think that would give you it would give me a fair time frame to compare some numbers, because there's a lot of factors, weather and things that you can year-to-date compare.
The council meeting is October 19th, Thursday of the month.
do we need to vote on that? Or
Yep, we would need a motion to call for a public hearing on October 19th for Sunday sales period. No Sunday sales period. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. So.
Okay, second?
No, sir.
Okay, all okay. First, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And we do appreciate you. I mean, usually we don't have people talk during a meeting like this, but
I'm sorry.
we do appreciate it. I mean, we just want to make the best decisions for the community. There's no doubt about that.
Appreciate it.
All right, C, All Classic event. Does Sophia would like to?
Sorry, I don't have this huge form here.
Real nice.
Oh,
Just, they're neighbors. I get with it.
I swear in my head I had this like really nice and organized, what I've seen other people have, but when I go to do it, it doesn't happen. So being on the chamber in town, working with Riverfest the last couple of years, something I keep hearing from the community a lot is that they want the carnival back. I did not live here during those times, but it's something I hear over and over and over again. So it has been a passion and a belief of mine to bring it back. I just have chosen that the chamber is not the right organization to host the carnival in the future. So, being a New Munich JC that I am, we believe in empowering people in our communities. And so, as a JC, we would like to host in our hosting, bringing the carnival back to town. It is a weekend put on for the community, by our community. So any organization can get involved with selling food, doing games, basically whatever they want, hosting a dance or whatever, and it is their fundraiser. The carnival would be the JC's fundraiser. Yeah, that's kind of what we're working on. September 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th of this year. If whoever knows me well knows I am not a huge planner. I do a lot of things quick, last minute, and then I plan for the next year. So, with the original plan was to have it down in the Soccer Park. Upon talking to the city, the park was booked on Saturday the 9th. I did not want to move that weekend due to it is Albany the weekend after. Moving up was Labor Day weekend, and moving up even more came into August, and I wanted to separate it a little bit more from Riverfest as well. So we came up with these dates. September 7th would be 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. open, carnival open, turtle races, food, whatever. Not a huge eventful night, but just something to kind of pull some people together. Friday, opening again at 3 o'clock. So here again, we're thinking that there is school, so we're gonna open at 3 just as those kids are getting out of school. Till midnight, we're gonna do a band. We are having the car show back. That will be held down in this park. I've talked with Craig Mouse. We're coming up with event signs and stuff to help direct traffic, try to keep everything as safe as possible. I've been working with Jenny Mayers as well, who was in charge of the car show before, Rick Hellerman, and a couple of other gentlemen have stepped back up to the plate to help us with the car show, with the understanding that we run it there because they're kind of help us. Saturday, noon to midnight, there again, band. We have kid games, and we're bringing out all the fun kid games like three-legged races and egg on spoon, just the fun stuff. Fireworks. We don't have the whole afternoon exactly figured out. We have a lot of paperwork coming back in yet from organizations. And then September 10th at Sunday morning, we are looking at doing a breakfast in the park, just as a final farewell to the weekend. So that's kind of where we're at with our ideas. I am working, like I said, with Craig Moss, with Breckhorst, Krillman, and what is the lady's name in the city who does the insurance, or all the licensing, working with, is that you? Okay, I'm sorry. So I have met with Betty once, just had an idea, so I will be in contact with her as well to make sure that we have all proper licensing and everything in order. So with that, basically what I need is permission, from my understanding, to use the craft lot this year. We will have First Street shut down different parts throughout the day, along with 4th Avenue, or First Avenue, so 2nd, 4th Street, yeah. Which has been worked out with malls as well. Yeah.
And as far as parking goes, you're going to shuttle from the park?
Yep, so we want to detour, for the most part, parking down to the park, and we will work on, I don't want to say hay wagons, but some kind of shuttling back and forth people who don't want to walk, so that we do not cluster the uptown streets during the event.
Anybody have any questions or concerns?
I don't, sounds like a fun time.
Sounds like a fantastic.
Put into it.
Yeah.
I would be open to utilization of the craft lot streets during that time. In my mind, I'm trying to think of anything critical that would be interrupting during those times, but I can't this time. It's after school hours, well,
Kind of.
the crowds are after school hours.
Have you, Craig, is there a football game that Friday night?
It's an away game.
It's a away game?
Yeah.
So it shouldn't affect traffic. And actually just probably bring more people in when you get back to town. So be able to keep people down
And that's why we want to try to do it wide, diverse. If anybody has any ideas or suggestions, please reach out.
You're looking for a dyno, is that right?
Correct. We are in the hair of our head trying to find one. So we would just give us permission to do burnouts in town and not get fined.
there. Try this, this isn't St. Martin, come on.
We are really looking for a dyno. Because people who've been to car shows with dynos, I don't know what that is, they put their car on, lock it in, and see how much power they have. It will draw people in, and these people pay, which then helps raise money for me for next year to keep this going. So.
And the JCs and any other nonprofits or whatever they want to get involved, right?
Exactly. Well, like even the car show will be a non-profit free will donation. And what we've decided to do, the money used to go to brain cancer with the old one. We're going to kind of do the same deal, but we're going to give the money back each year to a different nonprofit in town. So we'll kind of every year start kind of scoping of what nonprofit. Not that they all couldn't use it, but maybe there's one that's more in dire need each year or has a project that they'd like to do or whatever that we would then donate that money to. So it really is for the community and about the community.
I'll make a motion to support.
Second.
So first and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We appreciate what you want to do to make our community better. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Information items. Police Reserve retirement. I would like to mention Ken Duvier has resigned from the Melrose Police Reserve. Ken Duvier has served reserves for 30 years. I just want to say a big thank you for all those hard years of service down in the park, the basketball games, everything from when I was a kid.
I remember, I was going to say the same thing. I remember walking around, seeing Kim.
Yeah, used to keep us out of trouble, so appreciate all you've done for us.
Years.
Yeah.
Trying to keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, we don't
Trying.
go there anymore. That's, this is my floor right now. No, I'm just kidding. B is Utility Commission meeting minutes, Central Care open house invitation.
Yep.
And that is August 20th.
Yes.
So, and that's from, what is it, start at 11:30? I don't have a paper. But there's different things that will probably be in the paper. So, and a budget workshop meeting. So, can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.